Welcome back, my friends, to another episode of TFT Hyper Roll with Artark. We have done this build before, but it was a while ago, and they have buffed it, nerfed it, buffed it, nerfed it, buffed it, then slightly nerfed it, but ever so slightly, so much so that it doesn't really impact the build. It just impacted how this build worked with other builds. And the build I'm talking about that they went after was Sy'Fen, which involved using Sy'Fen and Shou together, so you had a Jade Whispers combination, and it wasn't even that OP or easy to get into since it required 2 tier 4 dragons that needed to get to 2 stars and needed specific items. But anyway, that's not what this video is about. So let's look at our first set of augments, and whenever I see Terrify, I grab it because I love this augment for a Whisper team, because it means all the units on your team are going to take less damage from anything that's currently shrunken down. Now, what happens in a full Whisper team is you're likely going to shrink almost the entire team, since all the Whisper champions have some type of AoE. Crazy Plant Lady, it's an entire row. For Silas, it's anything around him, and for Pantheon, anything in front. Now, I like to get into this comp using Bruisers with Skarner as my item holder because he's pretty effective with the Sy'Fen items. What are the Sy'Fen items, you ask? Well, it's Bloodthirster, Titan's Resolve, and Quicksilver. And so here we have a choice between the Negatron Cloak or the Sparring Glove. Either will work because we're going to need both of them to make a Quicksilver. And then Titan's Resolve, of course, will need a Chain Vest and a bow. Now, Diana is not part of this build at all, but since they gave her to me out of the NPC round, I figure I'd keep her in to help win the first couple of matches. She's highly effective, especially since with the 2 Bruisers up front, I'm likely going to be holding their front line in place for a while. And again, you can see that Skarner is really effective with the Bloodthirster, at least early on. I'm going to keep her until something else fills in, such as getting the 4th Bruiser. Now I'm getting the full Bruiser buff. I'd love to get the Crazy Plant Lady, but we haven't seen her yet. Now, what's interesting is right now we are not making use of our augment at all, since no one is being shrunken by the Whispers trait. You need to have 2 of them, but having 4 Bruisers is pretty strong early on. That extra health allows you to stay up, and again, the Bloodthirster on Skarner is very strong early due to how his ult works. If you're heading Whispers, your first loyalty is to your 3 key items, so the bow is the only option because you need to make a Titan's Resolve. Now, I've gone ahead and picked up a Gnar just in case we're not able to ever find the Crazy Plant Lady, because I really need her, but if not, I might have to delve into going into a little bit of Jade for more healing. But again, notice we're not using the augment yet, but the team is holding up. And it's thanks to Skarner and that item on him. When he ults, he speeds his attack, which allows him to heal faster, which gives him more shielding, which allows him to win. But luckily, my fears of not being able to find the Crazy Plant Lady kind of went away when there she is and she can join the team. Our second set of augments are augments. We could keep the Axiom Arc 1 because it'll give us just a little bit. I was tempted to re-roll, but I hate re-rolling the gray tier. Now, if you get a chance to put the Rage Blade on the Crazy Plant Lady, it's really good even though they nerfed it. And the reason they nerfed it is how Whispers works. Whenever a champion is shrunk, each additional hit is going to give additional attack power and AP to the champion as they're hitting it. So as her attacks are increasing, it's just making her stronger and stronger, faster and faster. Thanks to the NPC, we now have our Titan's Resolve, so all we need is the Quicksilver, which is the Sparring Glove. And if I manage to get to a gold Skarner, that's not something I'm going to be upset about because I already have a magnetic remover, or it's fairly easy to get a magnetic remover off the treasure dragon if you're not looking for anything else and you don't care what items you get, which once I get these 3, I'm pretty good to go. I like adding Sy'Fen when possible because it will add Evoker to our Crazy Plant Lady, which means she's casting more often. Sy'Fen is going to be our main tank in this build, so when I get a chance, I put tank items, Dragon's Claw, Warmog, stuff like that onto him. Remember, the team's already getting reduced damage from any shrunken champion, which as you can see is pretty much all of them, and that's just with 2 Whispers on the team right now. And as required in every lobby, we will run into the Guild Swiftshot Cavalier build. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It is a really strong build, and I think there should be one in every lobby, and there usually is more than one. But in this case, they kind of ended up meeting, well, we all met our match, and you'll see why I say that, because this one ends up going into overtime, and then from overtime, Twitch and Skarner just face off, and they can't beat each other, so we end up in a tie, which leads us into our final augment. And while Bruiser Crest is tempting for about half a second, I'd rather get Thrill of the Hunt 700, especially on this build. It can be very powerful. Now here's how I know that Gary isn't at his desk right now, because I have not seen a Sy'Fen yet. I've gotten Zyras, I've gotten Shiou's, other things that I would absolutely need if I was doing other builds, but I'm doing Whispers and no Sy'Fens at all, and that is the absolute key, but somehow I'm still winning. And now it's Treasure Dragon time, and I'm in a weird position because there's nothing I really need, but I would love to enhance the team in some way. Randium Sanctum does not really work for this because of how I set up. Infinity Force also is not going to be a good fit. Just a regular Shroud of Stillness is Death's Defiance could be good on Sy'Fen as an item to keep him up longer, but I'm not sure if it's worth trying another role or just taking it. Zhonya's Paradox, again, could be good on Sy'Fen to keep him up longer. Ultimately though, with stuff winding down, it's time to just take something. I can put the Static Shiv onto the Crazy Plant Lady, which will proc more often based on how fast her attacks are going. It will also reduce the magic resist on the team. I also picked up a target dummy that I can use for distractions going forward. One of the tricks I like to use with the target dummy is to move everything back, then just stick the target dummy right out in front so it can draw aggro. We finally get our Sy'Fen, but he will not be going in until stage 8 when it'll be easier to make a swap. Right now, I just want to get through this round, and I think I have a pretty good chance of doing it without losing. You can see that the Static Shiv is working perfectly, and our Crazy Plant Lady is just building up power as she's going. Now that we're in stage 8, I can pull a Bruiser and get Sy'Fen into the match and get the Sy'Fen items onto Sy'Fen. I'm holding on to Malphite for now, just in case I cannot get Pantheon, and or somehow I end up with a Tactician's Crown and I can end up getting to 6 and 6, which would be ideal, but it would require a little additional help from Gary at this point. And for our penultimate item, I get the choice of Edge of Night, which is something I'd actually like to put on Sy'Fen, since he's got the Dragon's Claw to allow him to break aggro. When his health starts getting down, this will give him a little bit of time to heal back up. And this is where you can see Terrify really work well. It takes the entire backline down, so we're taking less damage. It allows Sy'Fen to just swing through, wipe the entire backline, and finish this team off. And the Guild Cavalier team is now the Guild Ragewing Shyvana team. They've actually had luck finding a Shyvana, but this is where Terrify does so much good for the Whispers team. Their entire team is pretty much shrunk down so that Shyvana is not having the effect she normally would, and we are able to take them out and finish them off, which ends up taking us into the top 4, but actually it's top 2 because that last round was just brutal. Have not found a Pantheon yet, so we end up going to the 6 Bruisers. And I just want to point out this comment and thank Crazilla Jimpers for saying this. I have been trying to make some shorts on like quick 60 seconds on how to do a build. If you guys like them, let me know in the comments if that's something you want me to keep doing. It's time for our final item choice, and luckily I just don't really need anything specific right now, I can go ahead and pick up the Rage Blade, because having one of my Bruisers just attack faster like an Olaf certainly is not going to hurt anything. I can tank up Jack since he's the one who often will draw aggro, and then have some fun with this. Now this game quickly became a 1v1, but it is against a very strong team. It's 8 Mirage with a Cold Yone, a 2-star Deja, and just perfect items, a Soraka that's going to allow them to not go down in one shot, because they were at 6, now they're at 7. So even if I win this fight, which with the way that Yone is cutting through my line does not look very possible, it's going to be difficult to handle this team. I know what I need, and Gary found his way back to his desk, and I got the Pantheon I need to be able to go to the 6 Whispers. I'd rather have a 2-star Pantheon, but right now I know I can give up on the 6 Bruisers. It's not going to matter. I'm much better off with the 6 Whispers, where I can pick up more power for each attack that I'm doing, especially with the crazy plant lady. With her Rage Blade, it could get really strong. The key is shrinking that Yone, so I have Silas near one side and Pantheon on the other. That will reduce the damage. The other key is hopefully getting to Deja. This is going to be a little bit random, because Sy'Fen goes to the farthest enemy within 2.5 hexes, and in this case is lucky enough to have landed right on Deja, knocked them out. We kept Yone shrunk, so we win this round. I was not able to find a 2-star Pantheon. I'm still sort of thinking about maybe trying to get a 3-star Sy'Fen, which could turn the fight really easily in my direction, but I'm hoping that luck plays in my favor. This time Sy'Fen does aim straight for Deja, but it's not enough damage to finish Deja off. So Deja's on the board holding things up, and Yone did not go down this time. So this round goes the other way, despite a really good try, and it's now going to be winner take all in a final round. And I'll take you through some of the rolling and decision making here. I decide to pull Sy'Fen over so we can maybe get Yone out earlier. I also see the opportunity to get a gold 3-star crazy plant lady, which I think is going to help a ton. I bring Jax up a little bit more to serve as more of a distraction that will hold things up while my team gets into place. Again, the key, shrink their Yone so it doesn't do as much damage, and get to Deja. Sy'Fen does exactly what I need and gets directly in on Yone. But unfortunately, he didn't go towards Deja, which is really what I was hoping for. But our crazy plant lady is in the back, just wrecking things, giving us time. That extra star level gave her more power, and she was able to absolutely crush it and help win the game. Hope you enjoyed this video and that it helps you build Whispers. It is really fun and not that contested. And as always, hope you have an absolutely awesome day.